Okay, welcome back. Well, as we've seen to this point, strategic marketing in many ways is basically a matching process, but it does require great skill. This idea of matching insights to customers, their needs and aspirations, with what we can do well, putting them together, and then carving out a market position, hopefully of strength. You might say, well, who's kind of responsible for this matching process? And to a point, a number of people will be. It might involve a team, a product service development team. You might have certain specialists in branding or your agency or whatever. But fundamentally, the responsibility lies with the Chief Marketing Officer, or perhaps the marketing manager if it's a smaller firm, and the CEO. The CEO, of course, has the overall perspective for the business, but the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, should be integrally involved in this matching process, particularly at the strategic level. All right, well, if we pick up on this idea of a matching process, Drucker, Day, we've kind of looked at their approach, marketing concept, focus on customers, value, and then Day, his ideas of inside out and outside in and so on, and spanning processes. But they're all oriented towards gaining rich and deep insights into our customer base. So this really leads us to some quite careful thinking about customer needs. How well are the needs of customers being met? Are there unmet needs? And if so, is there some way that we might be able to meet them ahead of our competitors? But importantly, in the context of things never standing still, always changing, is it possible that technology is now allowing us to meet unmet needs that previously couldn't be met? Or equally importantly, does it allow us to meet present needs better? And that point's worth stating, because we might think, there isn't an opportunity because the customer's needs are being met. That might be true, but if technology has moved in some way and it allows us to do an even better job of meeting those customer needs, then even if it's at the risk of making an existing product or service obsolete or pushing it into a decline phase, we have to do it, because if we don't, then our competitors will. So we have kind of this constant process going on for looking basically at better combinations of customer insight and technological capability that enhance the value offering for our customers. Again, maybe an example is helpful as we sort of come to the end of this module. And the example I quite like, because it's a topical one, is Apple's introduction of the iPad. Now, obviously somebody saw a need for increased portability, so they saw that, kind of the ultimate value proposition might be anything, anytime, anywhere, which has been a mantra that's been around for some years in the computing industry. And the iPhone had some elements of this. Apple had invested heavily in touchscreen technology, and the phone in its own right as a phone and essentially as a highly mobile computing platform was quite a breakthrough in some respects. But if you have one or if you've used it, you'll know that it's still quite a small form factor. It has its uses, but it has its limitations. If we go kind of to the other end of the continuum, we've gone from desktops down to laptops, which are portable to a point, but of course a laptop is only portable to a point. We can't put it in our pocket, we can put it in a bag or a briefcase, but it's not the sort of thing you want to carry around with you all of the time. So although it provides great functionality and a great user experience these days, it obviously doesn't match the sheer portability and carryability and use anytime, anywhere benefits that are embedded in something like the iPhone. So the iPad really arose out of some quite careful reflection on to what extent can we balance up the best aspects of both? Now, inevitably there's a trade-off, but the iPad is very much positioned to try and capture what was learned and the benefits from the iPhone capability, but improving the richness of the user experience that we're more used to in terms of the laptop or desktop space. So it really came out of, I think, quite a highly strategic matching process, essentially searching for this idea of a sweet spot value proposition. Now, time will tell as to whether that's the best one. As technology advances, there might be even better solutions, but for now, it seems to be a good solution. The iPad weighs about 2/3 of a kilogram. It's only 13 mil thick, which is not that thick, so it's reasonably portable. But it's also highly spec'd in terms of its 10-inch touchscreen. And for those of you who have used it, you'll know it's really quite a rich user experience for something that's still relatively portable in its form factor. So the earlier indications for the iPad represent kind of huge uptake. Apple had trouble in the early stages even keeping it in stock. So it suggests that maybe if they haven't exactly found the sweet spot, it's sweet enough that it's providing a very important and valuable customer value proposition out there. Okay, so really just to summarise and in fact wrap up this module, one of the skills that I want to encourage you to develop is sort of this idea of mixing and matching, always looking at, okay, custom insights, what's the same with customers, what do they still like, but what's changing in terms of their values, aspirations, purchasing behaviour, basically how they live their lives. If it's business to business, it's still the same thing. It's looking at, okay, so how are firms changing these days? How do they relate to each other? Are they using the web more or less? Do they still rely on a sales force, or is there some change going on in terms of how firms interact? So those rich and deep customer insights on the one hand, but also the capabilities either that we have as a firm or organisation, or the capabilities that we could reasonably acquire, and then we match that in with the insights of the market and where it's going, and hopefully strengthen and build upon the value proposition that we're able to offer our customers.